Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Karen, and as you can tell by the title of the video, I am pregnant. I'm currently 36 weeks and 4 days, so I'm very far along. My plan was to document this pregnancy from the very beginning, but it was an unexpected pregnancy because I did have 2 miscarriages before this pregnancy. So after the first one, after the second one, I was really, truly, honestly scared when we found out I was pregnant the third time. So if you are going through infertility or have gone through a miscarriage, anything like that, my heart goes out to you. I'm truly sorry. The toughest thing that I've had to go through in my life. It's very tough. It's hard. Like, your emotions are up and down. It's crazy. So just know that you're not alone, and you know there are women who go through this quite often and we don't know because we don't really talk about it, myself included. So I wanted to make this video because, like I said, I did plan on documenting my entire pregnancy because I did the same with my daughter, but with hers I documented in a writing form. But now, because I have a daughter, she's 4 years old, I don't exactly have the time to sit down and write as much as I did before she got here. So I thought this would be cool. I did start later than I wanted to, but here we are. And so, yeah, backstory on, the miscarriages. In December of 2018, my husband and I decided to start trying. I did have an IUD, a copper IUD, placed after I had my daughter. That one has no hormones, because with my daughter's pregnancy, like, that was really tough. A completely different story for another time, but my body basically couldn't handle the hormones. I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disease, and so we decided for the copper one because, again, it had no hormones, so it should be fine. It was fine. I had no problems with it. We had no issues with it. December of 2018, we decided to try, so I had it removed, and the doctor told us that it would be anywhere between like 6 months to a year before we would actually get pregnant, that was the average time frame for the average couple. So I was using the Bump app, the Glow app, and I was tracking everything, like my temperature in the morning, like ovulation, just everything, because we wanted to get pregnant right away because we had a plan. Well, our plans almost never work out, right? Like, things are just gonna happen. Life happens, and we can plan all we want, but doesn't mean it's gonna happen. So I got a positive pregnancy test in February of 2019, so it was pretty fast. And although we were expecting to get pregnant fast, at the same time it caught us off guard for some reason. So it was just a bunch of emotions. So I was about 5 weeks, and then I had to make an appointment with my doctor because of all the hormone issues with my daughter's pregnancy. I was considered high risk at that time, and so they were going to do blood work and check all that stuff. So I set up an appointment with my doctor, and before I could make it to the appointment, I started bleeding. I called my doctor. It was like the middle of the night. It was like maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock at night when I started bleeding. I called the doctor. She told me to go into the ER because of the amount of, there was blood, but it wasn't like a ton of blood, right? But it was bright red. So she said, go to the emergency room and they're gonna check you out. Well, I went. They did an ultrasound. They checked, and they're like, you had a miscarriage. That was really, really tough to hear. I didn't want to accept it. I basically thought they were lying to me. But it happened, and it happened before we even got to tell our parents. We wanted to wait until about 12 weeks or so to tell our parents, and well, we didn't get a chance to. So we told our parents. It was really sad. My daughter didn't quite understand, because when I found out I was pregnant, I wanted to do the whole cute reveal thing for my husband, right? But I couldn't wait. I literally got out of the bathroom and started screaming that we were pregnant. And so my daughter was there, and so we were telling her, like, Mommy has a baby in her tummy, but she didn't quite, and she was 3, so it didn't stick with her. I feel like she didn't quite understand. So I'm thankful for that, because she didn't ask about it later. So then we were like, okay, well, we're gonna try, but we're just gonna like wait a while. So we waited a couple months, and until I kind of felt ready to try again. And it was kind of the same thing again. I started tracking everything. We got a positive pregnancy test in July of 2019. And this time we're like, okay, well, we're not going to wait until 12 weeks to tell our parents. We want them to know from the moment it happens, because we want to celebrate this from the very, very beginning, because of what had happened. We told our parents, I think I found out like on a Thursday. We told our parents like the next day. And then Sunday night, I started bleeding again. And it was about the same time frame. I was about 5 weeks along, going on 6, or it was 5, 6 weeks. I can't remember the second one. And this time I didn't go to the hospital. I basically just called my doctor, and they had me go in for blood work. It was in the daytime. So they had me go in for blood work to check my hormone levels, the HCG levels, and then I went in again like 2 days later, and they were dropping. It was basically at like, it was like 0.08 or something, super low. So again, they're like, there's another miscarriage. And that second time, it hit so much harder, because now I'm thinking something's wrong with me. Like, why did this happen again? The doctor said that it was normal, that it happens more often than we think, but people just don't talk about it. And that, sorry, somebody's mowing the lawn, so if you can hear it, sorry. But she said, if it happens again, then we would start looking at like checking me, checking my husband to see if there's some sort of like issue that needs to be addressed or whatever. And so at that point I was like, okay, no, I don't want to try again. I don't want to go through this again. And some people are like, oh, well, 5, 6 weeks, like it's not even like real, and like, it's so early. But like, no, like once you find out, like, it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's never too early to feel something for a child that you've created, no matter what stage they're at inside your body. Personally speaking, that's how I feel. So I didn't want to try again. I just wasn't in a space mentally, emotionally, to go through it again, possibly. So this pregnancy was completely unexpected. We found out in August that I was pregnant. It was, I think, at the end of August, going into September. And it's a crazy story. So with the miscarriage that happened in July, you basically, if you do want to start trying again, they recommend that you wait until you have a menstrual cycle, like your next menstrual cycle, to try again. Well, we weren't planning on trying, but I was waiting for my menstrual cycle. I was waiting for my period. And it was like, I think they said anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks you would get it after the miscarriage. And so I was waiting. August came around, and I had to go to a youth camp. I was going to be one of the leaders for the youth camp. And so I was gone from Monday through Thursday. And it was like, I don't know, like the third week of August. and I was expecting to get my period while I was at this camp. Well, it didn't come. And then Thursday afternoon, I got home from the camp, and Friday morning we were leaving to Spokane because my husband had some work to do over there, and we were going to take advantage and go to the water park. Where is it? In Idaho? Silverwood Park. Silverwood? Yeah. Something like that. But anyways, we were going to go take our daughter, take advantage of the time that I had off work, and basically 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Like, he was going to get some work done, but at the same time we were also going to be doing family stuff and taking her on this trip for the end of summer. Well, we went to the park. It was great. It was great weather. It was awesome. We were at the water park, and then we went to the actual theme park, and the last ride of the day was kind of like that Dumbo ride from Disneyland, where it's elephants and then you go up in the air and it's just spinning and you can go up and down. Okay, I went on that with my daughter, and that was the very last ride before we were going home. And as soon as I stepped off that ride, guys, I felt like the nausea. I was dizzy. I was so nauseous. It was like, oh my goodness, like I just wanted to get home and go to bed. But we were with some friends and they wanted to stop for dinner, and everything was like super far, it was just too much, so we decided on Taco Bell. And just before we got home, and so I'm sitting in the back seat with my daughter, and I'm just like trying to lay down as best I can and like just trying to block out everything because I was so nauseous and I just wouldn't go away. And so we got back to our friend's house. We were staying with our friends, and like I was like, okay, well, I'm hungry, but maybe if I eat something, like the nausea will go away. And so I ate, and like I ate fine, like I felt fine while I was eating, but then afterwards, like the nausea just like, it just came flooding right back. And so I went straight to bed. In the morning, I woke up super nauseous. Again, had breakfast thinking that'll kind of help. Nothing. Like, it was just, I ate, but it was like kind of like, oh, I don't want to eat, but I do. And we left that afternoon, I think it was it that afternoon? Yeah, we left that afternoon, which was a Sunday. No, it was a Monday afternoon, it was like Labor Day. And then on our drive back home, it was just, I was nauseous the entire ride, and it was just uncomfortable. And then the next day, like I was gonna go back to work on the Tuesday, and I had to call out because I was, again, so nauseous. I couldn't get myself off of the couch. Like, I didn't even make it up to bed. I just stayed on the couch. Like, I was so nauseous. Then Wednesday, same thing. Couldn't get off the couch. Like, I was just so nauseous. It was just like weird. And I was like, how did this dumb ride mess up my stomach that bad? Like, what's going on? I still had not gotten my period. Thursday, finally, I called out again, and my husband finally was like, you know what? I don't think that it was the ride. I think that you should probably take a pregnancy test. And I was like, no, there's like literally no way that I could be pregnant because I haven't got my period. I don't know why in my mind I thought I had to get my period before I could get pregnant. But apparently you can ovulate without having a period. And that's exactly what happened to me. I went to our local Kroger's and I got 2 pregnancy tests. I looked miserable. Like, there was no life in my face at all. Like, I know I looked horrible. And so I'm at the checkout stand, and the cashier, she's like, oh, are you hoping for twins? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And then she's like, well, you have 2 pregnancy tests. And then I was like, oh. So I chuckled, and she's like, sorry, I just had to try to make you smile because you just look miserable. And I was like, thanks. I do feel miserable. I was like, I just want an answer. I just feel horrible. Like, I don't understand why I'm feeling like this. I get home, I take the test right away, and I didn't have to wait for that long for those 2 lines to come up and show that I was pregnant. So I broke down. I was an emotional mess. I was crying and crying and crying. I was like, how did this happen? I told my husband, he was at work, and I just texted him. I was like, it's positive. I don't understand. And I was looking through the Glow app because I was still tracking everything, because I usually track my periods anyway. I was looking through it and I was like, okay, so this day was the only day that it could have happened. So by my calculations on the app, I was almost 8 weeks when I got that positive pregnancy test. So I was at this youth camp ziplining and doing all this stuff, pregnant, and I didn't even know it. But yeah, so I was almost 8 weeks pregnant. I think I was 7 weeks and 4 days. And I called my doctor and I was like, got a positive pregnancy test. I don't understand how it happened because I haven't gotten my period. And so they were like, okay, well, you need to come in because we need to do an ultrasound and kind of like figure out how far along you are, and then do like all the blood work stuff that we were gonna be doing before. So they gave me the appointment for the very next day, for Friday. And I went in, they took my blood, they did an ultrasound, and they're like, yes, you're basically the amount of time, is you're like 7 weeks and 4 days. So I was like, okay, well, how? And that's when I told me, you can't ovulate without having your period, and it can't happen. And it was just like, still, it didn't make sense in my brain. It didn't make sense, but I was further along than the first two when we found out. So there was some relief there because I was past my scary point, but at the same time, every single time I went to the bathroom, I was afraid. I would even try to hold it and not go to the bathroom because I was like, I don't want to see red. I cannot handle it again. So I was like that for a while because I was scared. I didn't want to be like all attached, and then all of a sudden it's like gets taken away from me. That's how I felt. And after talking to like our pastors and just like my friends, and like just having people around me that were encouraging me, and like, you know, it really helped. And I had to step out of the fear that I was living in and then start enjoying every single moment that I had during this pregnancy. So that's what I started doing. And we got through the first trimester, and then second trimester was better. I still was like kind of hard. I've had a hard time sleeping throughout this pregnancy. The entire time, like I just like my mind wouldn't stop running, or I just couldn't get comfortable. I was uncomfortable pretty early on, but now we are almost there, and it's like, it feels like it went by really fast. Because again, I kept telling myself like, okay, I'm gonna document this. I'm gonna, you know, vlog everything, and like I wanted to, but then at the same time, it's like, well, it just happened so quickly. I don't even know how I got to this point. But we are having a baby boy. So that's exciting. We have a girl and now we're having a boy. We don't have a name yet, and I'm so close to the due date that it's kind of like we need to pick a name, but we can't even settle on a list of names of like 3 or 4. And now with this whole COVID-19 thing going on, it's stressful. My mother-in-law and my mom were doing a baby shower for us, and that had to be canceled. And then my friends were organizing a baby shower for us, and that had to be canceled. I had to leave work because of being high risk, not just because of the pregnancy, but also because I have asthma, and we just work so closely together that I was considered high risk. They sent me home. So I've been home now for what seems like 6,000 plus days. It's only been 2 weeks that I've been quarantined, you know, staying at home. And it feels like forever. I'm the type of person that like, I need to stay busy. I need to be working. And so just being here at home, although it's great to be home with my daughter, I'm so uncomfortable that like I feel like I can't do much with her. Not like the games that she wants to play on the floor, rolling around, running around, because I get very tired and I'm very uncomfortable, and so I feel like I'm not, I don't want to say useful, but that's kind of how I feel right now. I feel like I'm very limited to what I can do, and it's kind of stressful knowing, you know, again, that my due date is coming up, and the situation at the hospital, the situation with people, like it's just crazy. God's timing is so perfect. So this was the time for us to be pregnant, and so I don't want to question the timing, although I have caught myself like, why is this COVID-19 thing happening right now? But I can't control it, so I'm just gonna worry about what I can control, and that is how I look at it. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.